Hello, welcome to a special afternoon edition of the Cohn Zone. That's the legendary Cohn, Lowell Cohn. I'm his son, Grant Cohn, and we're all coming off watching a lot of football yesterday. The Seahawks winning, the Patriots winning, and the Niners didn't win. They lost last week. So we're going to be a little critical today, and we're going to let Kurt Warner's criticism inform ours. But we understand that you're 49er fans, and we don't want you to feel like we're dumping on the Niners for not making it as far as the Seahawks. We want to remind you that they had an excellent season, and we're proud of them. Just wanted to say that. They did a great job. They maybe made it further than they should have, and we're proud of them. Is there anything you want to add, Dad?
Yeah, today we're going to talk about the Niners. Next week, we'll preview the Super Bowl. So this is strictly Niner-oriented. What we learned from yesterday's game and from their final game against Seattle.
What was so interesting about this video from Kurt Warner is that he actually made it about a week ago, just after the Niners lost to the Seahawks. I didn't see it, and it came to my attention this morning. I watched the whole thing. I showed it to you. You watched the whole thing, and it's about 37 minutes. And a lot of times when you watch a film breakdown, it's hard to watch because we didn't play football. We didn't coach football. It's a totally different language. Kurt does it in such a great way where you're captivated. You were going to watch 10 minutes, and then you watched the whole thing.
Oh,
right?
I couldn't stop.
And what was so interesting about it was he doesn't have an agenda. He didn't go into it trying to blame the Niners' offensive problems on any one person or one thing. He just went play for play and showed all the different issues. And there were a lot. So should we go through them?
Yes.
I mean, again, what made it so interesting is basically his theme was the Niners didn't have to be that bad on offense against the Seahawks. The Seahawks defense is good, but it's not that good. There are opportunities against it. And I think the Rams proved that multiple times against this defense. So what he showed about the Niners against this particular defense, a lot of times he didn't like the route combinations to start with. He would show a lot of times where 2 and 3 receivers either ran into each other or were running near each other by design. And he would say things like, I don't know what we're doing here. That was a start. And then so the route combinations he didn't like. He didn't like the routes. A lot of times he would point at Juwan Jennings without calling him out by name and say, I don't even know what kind of route this is supposed to be. It's an undefined route. Could be a curl, could be a dig, could be a post. If it's a post, can't throw that. If it's a dig, you do want to throw that. I mean, and showing how Brock Purdy's in a really tough situation. Like, what is he seeing here? What are you running?
Yeah. Juwan Jennings, his criticisms were polite but forceful. He was essentially saying, tell me if I'm wrong, Iggy. He was running lazy routes.
Yes.
Lazy routes that he wasn't
not full speed, not really making crisp breaks, kind of just rounding everything off.
Rounding everything off. And he showed. And so Juwan Jennings himself put Purdy in a lot of bad positions because if he was the primary receiver, he wasn't free and he wasn't where he's supposed to be.
Yeah. That was a big one. So he really didn't have a lot of nice things to say about Juwan. He kept like sighing, like, "Oh, what is this?
Yeah.
What are we doing?"
He kept saying "we" as opposed to "them." He was trying possessive, and he would see Juwan, but also, sorry, I'm coughing today, Sky. These route combinations, and he showed he slowed it down. He did it again and again. Where you'd see two guys next to each other. And all kind of defenders around them. He said, how can you do that? And then he would just go like this. Oh, and he would sigh, meaning, how could you do that to your quarterback?
Yeah.
And if I had that, clearly, he didn't say it, he would object.
Yep. So he had a bunch of examples of the Niners coaches and receivers doing Brock Purdy no favors. But he also had examples of Brock Purdy making a mistake. There was one where he took a drop and floated all the way back to 11 yards behind the line of scrimmage and then darted forward and scrambled, where Kurt Warner says there's no reason to take the drop to 11 yards. Actually stop your feet at 9 yards, which is where they coach you to stop. Step up in the pocket. The offensive tackles can push the edge rushers past you, and then you can rip this throw to a wide open receiver running a dig route 15 yards downfield. And he showed it. So there were examples of Brock Purdy sort of making life difficult on himself by, with his footwork or with not being fundamental.
Yeah, there were things that Warner saw. I would throw it here. Why didn't he do it? He's looking here. He should have looked here.
Yeah.
Right?
I think some of the most compelling things that he showed was like the progressions, though. Like at the very end, he showed there's a few plays like this where he's like, you know, you got Purdy looking on this side of the field, and I don't know why.
Mhm.
You got 2 receivers here and 3 receivers here, and he's looking at the 2 receiver side, and there's no advantage over here. There's no one open. And now he has to mid-play flip across the field and figure out where everyone is over here and go through progressions 3, 4, 5 in 2 seconds. And the last one he showed was the fumble. He starts off looking right and tries to get all the way back to the check down, which is the 5th read on the left side of the field. And before he gets there, he gets sacked and he fumbles the ball. And Warner's point is like, why are you treating quarterbacks? Well, first of all, is it that Kyle is forcing him to go through his progressions like this, or is it that Brock doesn't know any better? Because what Kurt said is like before the snap, they're not disguising the coverage. You can see it's cover 4. And you should know based on your route combinations that the 2 receiver side, what they had drawn up wasn't going to win. No one was going to be open against that look. So you should be going to the 3 receiver side, the one with the running back running a swing route, and understand you're going to have numbers, three eligibles against 2 coverage guys, and someone has to be open. And why couldn't you figure that out? Is it that's how Kyle coaches it, or are you just repeatedly looking at the wrong side of the field? Because
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, go ahead.
and we didn't know who was culpable. But
No.
what I think, in his polite way, he wasn't singling out Kyle or Brock, but he was blaming both along the way. Very much so.
He was saying, like what he would do is he would read the defense before the snap and then eliminate one side of the field most likely so that his progression is 1-2 or 1-2-3, not 1-2-3-4-5 from right to left or left to right. That's impossible unless you have the greatest offensive line of all time. And I guess it's disconcerting that the 49ers don't really have that, or that Brock Purdy isn't really there yet where he can quickly eliminate options and get to the best one and read the right side of the field correctly. I mean, we know that he ran for more than 400 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and it wasn't all his fault, but some of it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a guy known to be an intelligent quarterback. But looking at that analysis, you would think he was in the preliminary stages.
Yeah. And again, this is Kurt Warner talking. And if kids, you don't remember Kurt Warner, he was not a scrambler. He was a statue. He stood in one place and went to 3 Super Bowls and won one and won at least 2 MVPs, and he's in the Hall of Fame, and he's one of the best pocket passers of all time. So he's worth listening to. He knows what he's talking about.
And other things he said was Purdy is too apt to take the check down. There are other passes down the field, and he showed they were wide open down the field.
Yes.
But he would go to Christian because maybe he felt comfortable. And he would say, well, he moved the chains. That's good. He stayed ahead of the chains. That's good. But there were better passes down the field. And he showed it again and again and again.
Yeah. He's like, there's a guy open here running a deep comeback, and you're looking on the wrong side of the field. There were a few plays like that. Or there's a guy open running a dig route, but you're already running out of the pocket because your drop was too deep.
Yeah. And Iggy,
or you have 3 receivers in the same spot, and it's not your fault.
And the other one he didn't like from Shanahan, when guys would go down the field, go left, and then go right, go back.
The return route.
It
takes forever. Yeah.
And he said, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like
one
it.
Of these return routes, I would just have a curl here so the guy could be open now.
Yep.
As opposed to waiting for him to go over there and come back.
So what he was, I'm going to summarize. What he was saying was, sure, Seattle's defense is very good, but you can beat it. And again, the Rams lost, but they scored points. So he was
every time they played that team.
Yeah. So what he was saying was, against Seattle, it wasn't only Seattle's defense, that the Niners were their own worst enemy. That's what he was saying.
It wasn't only that the Rams had a better offensive line, and it wasn't only that the Rams had Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. It was that Kyle Shanahan didn't have the answers. His plays weren't working. His receivers weren't running good routes. It makes you wonder about the whole operation. Who's coaching these guys? Who's drawing this stuff up?
Yeah. I'd like to say something else. Steve Young said the other day that it's known that Kyle is the best offensive mind in the league, the best play caller. Well, I wonder if Kurt Warner would say that, because JT O'Sullivan is very good, and I've seen him say things again. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish here. Yeah. Remember, we've heard him say that. So it's not just one guy. So is Kyle really the best play designer, the best play caller? I don't think Seattle thinks he is. I bet they think Sean McVay's better.
Yeah, and it's funny, we both came away from that game saying, like, boy, Seattle's defense is just impenetrable. Yeah. It's impossible to be. The Niners, they're outmanned. And then you watch the film, it's like, no, the Niners played pretty poorly.
Yeah, and that's what he emphasized. And again, he didn't have an axe to grind.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have plays where you got Kendrick Bourne and Demarcus Robinson running into each other quickly off the snap on fourth down. It's like, well, that's JV stuff. But then the thing that's most interesting to me is Brock looking at the wrong side of the field. They got to figure that out. Is that Kyle Shanahan being, a micromanager and telling him where to look, or is that Brock Purdy just not knowing? Because you'd think by year 4 in the NFL, as smart as he seems to be, that he would be very quick at figuring out which side of the field to read.
Yeah, and we'll never know the answer to that.
And what Warner kept pointing out was like, you got 2 receivers here and 3 receivers here. Why are you looking at the 2 receiver side? You don't have numbers over there. What did you think you saw? If you're going to throw to the 2 receiver side, you better see some like matchup that you really like, or a guy who's just won immediately and get the ball out of your hands now. Because if you go to the 2 receiver side and it's 2-on-2, there's a real chance that you get stuck there and no one's open, and now you got to go, crap, I'm looking back over here or I'm running. And Kurt Warner couldn't run. So he had to make all these decisions instantly. And I think he was thinking like, hey, I'm probably going to look at the 3 receiver side because I got a check down guy over there. I got guys here. Could work, could not. And you keep looking over there. Why? Is how they coach you to do it? I don't know.
And so he would immediately eliminate half the field.
Yes. And he's looking at the side of the field that has the running back, that has the check down guy, whereas Brock kept having to scramble around and then throw back across the field to a check down guy. We saw that multiple times. And it looked heroic and very cool, and they would get a first down, but it's like, man, that's not how they draw it up. That's very difficult. You're making this. Didn't he say you're making this more difficult than it needs to be?
He said that at least once, that they're making it more difficult for themselves than it needs to be. And again, I question Kyle Shanahan. I'm sure he's a good play designer and a good play caller. Is he the best? Certainly not against Seattle. In fact, he's not very good against Seattle.
I mean, the best offensive coach in the league has receivers running into each other, have receivers jogging through routes and rounding off breaks. You have quarterbacks looking at the wrong side of the field. I mean, it looked like a mess. That's what Kurt Warner was essentially saying in the nicest way. This offense is a mess, and it's no one person's fault. But who's responsible for this? Oh, the best offensive coach in the league.